Hey everybody, I hope you all are doing well and welcome back to Whiskey Wanders. And today, as we get to the end of the first, really, true blue summer month, that is July, I would say that we got pretty lucky this July. Maybe some of that 4th of July luck that rubbed off on us. But it means that we get a chance to put together really a truly amazing haul for this month to show off some of the bottles that we got, as well as some that we didn't really have time to show or didn't have any great footage to show during the month, but we were really excited to have. This includes a whole panoply of Beam Suntory anniversary editions, like the Hakushu 18th 100th anniversary, the Yamazaki 12th 100th anniversary, and some more, I guess we'll call it down-to-earth whiskeys, like the Booker's, and in rare, for us, Purple Top, which is the Willett 8-year-old wheated whiskey, and really a whole bunch more. Now, before we get to the video, if you do like these videos, if you like the wanders, if you like the hauls and the reviews and the unbottlings and the unboxings and really all the amazing stuff we got, including the drink throughs, we got drink throughs, don't forget to like and subscribe because it does really help the channel to grow, and we are so thankful for that. But also because, you get updates when our newest videos come out on Sundays and sometimes in between. All right, now, let's get down to the video. So for today's whiskey check, I think I'm going to open up something new here. Let me get a glass. And something that's a little heftier for the Japanese affair. And it had been empty from the bar for a while, but we just got one in. And honestly, I've been looking for an excuse to drink it, which is this Nikka from the barrel. A cool little bottle, a delicious whiskey that is not the easiest one to pour. So let's see if we can get this one open up here. If we can get a pop. Oh, nope. Get the plastic off. Get a pop. Oh, there's no pop. It's just the twist off. Lame. And let's see if we can get a little juice here. Yeah. Oh, shoot. That's alcohol abuse. Told you it's not the easiest to pour. Put that back on here. Toss that over there. And to whiskey. Because let's be honest, you can never really drink too much of it. You can only just drink it too fast. Cheers. Oh, man. Elixir of gold. That is delicious. All right, so first up for today is going to be the crown jewel of this month's haul, and maybe even for this year if the Yamazaki version we never get our hands on. We had to drive all the way out to Arizona, and we did end up spending a small fortune on it, but we are glad that we did, which is going to be this Hakushu 18 100th anniversary. Now, the wife and I are lovers of Japanese whiskey, but we're not too deep into it, although after this haul, we are going to be a lot deeper into it than we were before. And we normally have a pretty well-balanced whiskey collection with bourbon and American whiskey and Scotch and Japanese whiskey. But after this month's haul, with the addition of all these different 100th anniversary versions of the Hakushu and the Suntories, man, we're really going to start kind of leaning towards the Japanese side. Now, the Hakushu 18 specifically, the 100th anniversary, is a very limited edition of the bottle. It was produced to celebrate 100th anniversary of Suntory. So they've been in business for 100 years. Happy birthday, Suntory. Cheers to that, huh? And although some of the other versions of the 100th anniversary have no functional difference, they're the exact same whiskey that you'd put in the bottle, but just with new badging and new livery and all that kind of stuff. The Hakushu 18 actually is different. It has different juice inside of it than what you would get with the standard Hakushu 18. That's because the ABV on this one is actually at 48%, which you can see right there, versus the standard 43% with the normal Hakushu 18 and the normal Hakushu 12 and the Yamazaki 12 as well. So that is going to be the biggest difference on this one. And actually, it's not the biggest one. The biggest difference is going to be the price, but we'll get to that here in a second. Additionally, like I said, it does come with all the pomp and circumstance. You get a very nice box with like the velour or like kind of fake leather on there. You get the booklet, which is very cool. I'm not going to open it because I don't want to ruin it, but you get a booklet that's very cool. It explains everything that's going on. You get the fancy box, and it just makes you feel all warm and special on the inside, which is what you look for whiskey when you're collecting it. At least I do. Now, although there's only minor differences between this one and the standard Hakushu, which is the ABV, sometimes it's those minor differences that make all the difference, right? It's like the difference between Clark Kent with his glasses on versus Clark Kent without his glasses on. It's one minor difference, but it's a huge difference in reality. So as I alluded to, the price on it is pretty steep. I don't know if there's no way to kind of pussyfoot around it. We bought this one for $1,499 out at a Total Wine in Tempe, Arizona. So, it is enough to make somebody blush when they talk about that, which I am. You can't see, but I am. But we are super stoked to have gotten this one because it is pretty rare. And even though it is essentially 4 times the price of a regular Hakushu 18, I'm really excited to have it. And I think that having these kind of special versions of a whiskey that you love just totally makes sense, even if they are kind of ridiculously priced. So that is the Hakushu 18 100th anniversary celebration. All right, so next up is a whiskey that we had picked up earlier. We had one bottle earlier from a Total Wine grand opening. We were still trying to wander around and find a second one so we can not feel so guilty drinking the first one, or vice versa, I guess. And we were hoping to find it at Costco at the MSRP, which is this Gold Spot Irish whiskey. Now, with the Spots collection as a whole, there are a lot of them to be enjoyed. There is the green spot, there is the yellow spot, there is the red spot, which makes up the standard line for all of them. And then you get to the special lines. You get to the gold spot and the blue spot. And this one is special because of the fact that it celebrates the 135th anniversary of Mitchell and Sons being in business. I guess happy birthday to them as well. It's aged in ex-bourbon, ex-sherry, and ex-Bordeaux, and ex-port wine barrels. Obviously, it is aged 9 years, which is still younger than pretty much all the other versions of the spot in the standard line.
Do you know that the only spot that is a tin can is the red one?
Oh, I did not know that. It usually has both malted and unmalted barley in the distillate, and it is non-chill filter. And of course, it uses the classic kind of Irish pot stills to give it a very kind of shortbread and fruit demeanor. We got this one at Costco for $107.99 with an amazing ABV of 51.4%, which will put some hair on your chest, which is not necessarily something I need, but it's nice to have, I guess, if you need it. And we're really happy to get this one, the Gold Spot at MSRP from Costco. So that is the Gold Spot Irish whiskey. Next up, in the second of the Suntory 100th anniversary finds that we had from this month, is going to be the Yamazaki 12 100th anniversary. Now, the Yamazaki 12, unlike the Hakushu 18, is basically, well, it's sort of exactly the same thing as what you would get with the standard Yamazaki 12. So there's not really any functional difference between the two of them, other than the fact that the distiller, Suntory, claims that the bottles are specifically made from barrels that are hand-selected. Oh, and you get a booklet explaining what's going on. So that's pretty cool, too. Also, if you really think about it, aren't all barrels hand-selected? I don't think they have robots or like ChatGPT choosing barrels for them. So I don't know. I don't really understand what the difference would be. But either way, it has the same standard ABV as what you would find with the normal Yamazaki 12 at 43%. That being said, we can still admittedly say that both of them are very, very good. Yamazaki is a great whiskey. Like the standard Yamazaki 12, the Yamazaki 12 100th anniversary is aged in ex-bourbon, ex-sherry, and the uniquely Japanese barrel Mizunara cask. We got this one from Total Wine in the Tempe, Arizona as well at $349.99. And I will admit, this is where I will admit, let me take a drink here, that we definitely got bamboozled. As later on, at a later date, we found it in California for about a third less. And ultimately, really what we ended up paying for on this, and what a lot of people end up paying for on it, is the badging on there, as well as the badging on the bottle and the little booklet, and just the celebration that goes along with it. So did we pay too much for it? Yeah. Is it cool to have a special edition? Yeah. So either way, I'm still pretty glad that we got this one, and that is the Yamazaki 12 100th anniversary. And next up is one of the wife's contributions to this month's haul, which is a whiskey that we didn't get in person. And actually, I'm not 100% sure where she got it. She just kind of showed up with it, which is totally fine. I'm okay with that, which is this Hazelburn 12 finished in Oloroso cask. Now, If you watch the channel for any period of time, you will know that the wife's propensity for whiskey really kind of swerves heavily to the Scotch side, and mine too to a lesser degree, but is more well balanced out with bourbon and Japanese whiskey. But we were both very excited to see this version of the Hazelburn because it comes out of the Campbelltown Distillery, Springbank, which has been known for producing whiskey in that old school fashion, which also makes them highly sought after and relatively limited in the production that they can put out. This one specifically is one out of a 9,000 bottle run. It is aged 12 years and has an ABV of 49.9%, which you can see right there, which is very healthy, right? That is a very respectable ABV as well. It is a 2023 release, so for this year. And also, can we take a moment just to look at the color of the juice on there? The jamminess, the kind of rusty, deep deliciousness on there just looks amazing. I don't know if you can see that in there. Also, we ended up paying $149.99 for this. And I feel like this one is probably going to get open sooner than later. And I really think that it's going to be worth every penny that we spent on it. So that's a nice addition to it, is the Hazelburn 12 Oloroso. All right, so for this number 5 whiskey from the haul is another from the Suntory 100th anniversary. It's the last one, I promise, sadly. But it is the Hakushu 12 100th anniversary. And this one, sort of like the Yama 12, is basically exactly fundamentally the same as a standard Hakushu 12. But, of course, with the additional badging and the nice box that goes along with it, the little booklet explaining what's going on, and the barrels that are handpicked. But other than that, it is kind of the same. It is ABV'd at 43%, which is the same as what you find with the standard Hakushu. So if we take a look here, you can see it's at 43% on both of them, or 86 proof. And it too is aged in ex-sherry, ex-bourbon, and ex-Mizunara casks. And the main difference from the Hakushu from the Yamazaki is the fact that the Hakushu is peated. I mean, that's the biggest one, but also the flavor palette in general is more kind of meaty and more salty and more briny than what you find on the Yamazaki, which is more kind of like a rock candy sweetness and juicy palate. At least that is my perception. And the best thing about this one, aside from the badging, is the fact that we got it for $100 less here in California than we did the Yamazaki, for $259.99. Which, of course, at that same time, at that same Total Wine here in California, they did have the Yamazaki at $259.99, so $100 less, which really did chap my buns. But yeah. So that is the Hakushu 12. It'll look great on the Japanese side of our whiskey bar. And I'm still glad that we got it, and I'm even more glad that we got it for less than what we would have paid for it had we got it in Arizona. Last up for today is a whiskey that is super hyped. So hyped that we actually ended up buying it kind of on the hype. And I think the wife, she got this one online maybe, but it is one of the notorious purple tops, which is the Willett Wheated 8-year-old wheated bourbon. And if there's one thing we can say about this whiskey, just looking at it, is it looks pretty sleek. Very like dark and mysterious. It's all blacked out with the gold lettering. It looks pretty cool. If we look at the facts on it, though, we can see that the ABV is at 54% or 108 proof, which you can see right there, which is not that impressive. It is aged 8 years, and it has a mash bill of 65% corn, 20% wheat, and 15% malted barley. It is made from whiskey that is sourced, at least from what I can tell, and it was distilled back in 2013. Interestingly enough, though, it is also made with level 4 or number 4 charred barrels, which is the highest level of char that you can get. It's the so-called alligator char, which means that the barrel is allowed to burn internally for the full 55 seconds, which adds a very hefty amount of smoke and burnt flavor into the whiskey. And as a man who loves burnt toast, burnt hash browns, and burnt bacon, why not have some burnt whiskey too? Now, the wife found this one for $250, which is, of course, a pretty penny, especially considering how much high praise it gets and how much hate it gets. But we saw it available. We said, you know what? Let's give it a try. Let's spend out the money and see if it is worth the cash. So that is the Willett 8-year-old wheated whiskey. All right, so that is it for today's hauls, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that you enjoy all of our videos, whether it is the wanders or the hauls or the reviews or the unbottlings, the unboxings, really all the amazing stuff we got cooking up for you. And honestly, we have tons of amazing stuff cooking up for you. But if you do like it, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel to grow, and we are so thankful for that. But also because it is good for your whiskey mojo, it pleases the whiskey gods, and you get updates when our newest videos come out on Sundays and sometimes in between. Now, before I go, just remember, if you do find a whiskey that you love, just buy it. Because if you don't, somebody else surely will, and in this case, it might even be me. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. I'm out, and adios.